Dedicated to justice. It's a simple enough phrase, and it's easy for each of us to say, I'm dedicated to justice. Who wouldn't say that if asked? It's something altogether different to prove through your deeds that you truly are dedicated to justice. To commit your life, your time, your resources, your reputation to seeking the cause of justice. Those who take that responsibility, who truly dedicate themselves to justice, are in a very special category of people. Tonight, we celebrate and honor 5 individuals who have demonstrated that they are dedicated to justice. Among these individuals are 3 who showed their dedication by their service as prosecutors: Jerry Blackwell, Steve Schlischer, and Patricia Cummings. The Pennsylvania Innocence Project honors them because their work as prosecutors served the cause of justice in a manner that will fundamentally impact and change practices that have historically led to wrongful convictions. We also honor 2 lawyers who have demonstrated their dedication to justice through their work on behalf of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project: Nate Andrusani and Howard Shear. You will hear more about the remarkable work of these 5 individuals during the next hour. They are extraordinary people who inspire us, and they will inspire you. Before I introduce our host for tonight, I want to mention another group that has shown its dedication to justice, our lead sponsors for tonight. We deeply appreciate the commitment of every one of our sponsors, but we want to give special thanks to our Pillars of Justice. The Pillars of Justice for tonight's event are the Haldeman Family Foundation, the Catherine DiNardo Trust, Kroll, Inc., the Leslie Miller and Richard Worley Foundation, Morgan, Lewis and Bacchius, LLP, David Richmond and Janet Perry, and Troutman Pepper, LLP. We thank them sincerely. Now it gives me great pleasure and a bit of relief to turn the rest of this program over to our host for this evening, actor Ruffin Prentice. Many of you will recall seeing Ruffin hosting our Western Pennsylvania virtual event this past summer. All of you will have an opportunity to see Ruffin soon in a recurring role in the final season of HBO's Insecure, which will be released in just a few days. We are delighted that Ruffin showed his dedication to justice by agreeing to join us again tonight. Thank you, Ruffin. The program is yours.
Thanks, Sam, for the welcome and kickoff to tonight's program. As Sam said, I'm Ruffin Prentice, and I'm honored to be your host for the evening. Now, when I was asked to host tonight, it was a no-brainer because the work that's happening here is important and necessary. The Pennsylvania Innocence Project works to exonerate those convicted of crimes they did not commit, to prevent innocent people from being wrongfully convicted, and to help exonerees in their transition to freedom. I can't think of a greater calling than the work that the project does. It's fitting that tonight's event is entitled Dedicated to Justice. Tonight's program begins with a conversation with Jerry Blackwell and Stephen Schlischer, 2 attorneys in private practice who helped successfully prosecute former police officer Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd in 2020. Board member Tom Gallagher will be presenting the Distinguished Service Award to Jerry and Steve for their willingness to answer the call for justice in this case of national reckoning. We will also be honoring 3 individuals who are champions of justice for the wrongly convicted. You'll get a chance to meet Patricia Cummings, who headed the Philadelphia District Attorney's Conviction Integrity Unit, voluntary attorney Nate Andrusani, and long-term board member and former board chair Howard Shear. The road to justice for people who are wrongly convicted is a long and difficult one, which relies on the dedication of people like our honorees and people like you. We are grateful you have joined us tonight to learn more about our important work on behalf of people who are wrongly convicted. And we hope you will be inspired to give to the project. You can give at any time during the program by clicking the donate button on your screen or by visiting www.painnocence.org/donate. Let's begin with a brief video introducing you to the work of Jerry Blackwell and Stephen Schlischer, followed by their conversation with Tom Gallagher.
But George Floyd was not a threat to anyone. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone. He wasn't trying to do anything to anyone. Facing George Floyd that day, that did not require 1 ounce of courage, and none was shown on that day. No courage was required. All that was required was a little compassion. And none was shown on that day.
On May 25th, 2020, the world watched in horror as Officer Derek Chauvin brutally murdered George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Few will forget the image of a white police officer kneeling on a black man's neck for more than 8 minutes, ignoring pleas from witnesses to stop. These 8 minutes, captured in a bystander's video, became a terrible symbol of police brutality and a call for action. 2 people who answered that call were attorneys Steve Schlischer and Jerry Blackwell, who left their private practices to join the team assembled by Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison to prosecute Derek Chauvin. Beginning with Jerry's powerful opening statement and concluding with Steve and Jerry's closing arguments, they used their outstanding legal skills throughout the trial to seek justice not only for the state of Minnesota, but for George Floyd, his loved ones, and ultimately for all of us.
You were told, for example, that Mr. Floyd died because his heart was too big. You heard that testimony. And now, having seen all the evidence, having heard all the evidence, you know the truth. And the truth of the matter is that the reason George Floyd is dead is because Mr. Chauvin's heart was too small.
The Pennsylvania Innocence Project relies on the generosity of lawyers like Jerry and Steve, who volunteer their services working for many years alongside our staff to exonerate people in Pennsylvania's prisons who are wrongly convicted. And we believe that by holding those who enforce the law accountable, we are contributing to the creation of a justice system in which fewer wrongful convictions occur. We are honored that Steve and Jerry joined Pennsylvania Innocence Project board member Tom Gallagher to discuss their pro bono work on this case.
Welcome to the Pennsylvania Innocence Project and our annual celebration dedicated to justice. My name is Tom Gallagher, and I am pleased to welcome our 2 guests and honorees, 2 lawyers in private practice who agreed to leave their respective practices and serve pro bono as the lead prosecutors in the case against former police officer Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. 2 lawyers truly dedicated to justice. Jerry Blackwell and Steve Schlischer, welcome, and thank you for supporting the Pennsylvania Innocence Project.
Good to be here.
Thank you, Tom.
In May 2020, during the pandemic, everyone in the country and around the world heard about the murder of George Floyd, and many saw the bystander video. Do you remember when you first saw that video and your reaction to the 9 minutes and 29 seconds?
Unbelievable. George Floyd is unique amongst all of the cases that have gotten national focus and attention involving police brutality, excessive use of force, and that George Floyd, for all of us, died in our living rooms. We all saw it, and it was unbelievably shocking to see an unarmed, defenseless man crying for his mother being choked out 1 breath at a time unto death. So it for me was shockingly unbelievable. And if anything, kind of well up in you some spirit of justice, or that if there's injustice under these circumstances, when will there be justice under any circumstances? That there needs to be accountability for this. That was my gut reaction and inspiration ultimately for getting involved in the case.
You know, when I saw the assault and murder unfold in my living room as well, I remember looking at it in just shock and discussed. As someone who's worked with law enforcement hand in hand as long as I did, I felt that I really have seen the best of law enforcement in my career. And when I saw this unfold, it was incredibly shocking. And it only got worse, because remember, what you saw on TV was an edited down version of just a segment of what happened. I remember the first time I saw the whole thing, and just the thoughts going through my head as you watch it just continue on and on and on, and how much worse that was for me than the very first time I saw it.
Jerry and Steve, you two did not know each other before this case, and you received an invitation to join the team. Could you share with us how that unfolded for each of you?
And I was so moved by what I had seen in that video. And so strong was the sense to bring about accountability for what I'd seen in the video. Even as a civil practitioner, I just said yes out of the box. And I figured out later how to talk to my partners about what I've committed to do, how to talk to my wife about what I've committed to do. But I did. I jumped from the platform, the diving board, and was checking for water second in this. I just told them yes out of the block, and I figured we would sort out what that means. But I'm in.
I was honored that he would be asking me my opinion. As the conversation progressed, and he decided to make the ask, would you be willing to help us out and join the team? Like Jerry, I thought that I would just be a consultant, having some criminal experience, having prosecuted police officers before. I thought that's what he wanted. So I consulted with my partners and told them what I wanted to do, because my instinct was to help, and they were supportive right away. Something that stirs up in you, and you spend as many years in the public service as I had, to have the Attorney General call and ask for help, I felt that there was a responsibility there.
That is exactly where I would like to go next, which is why you did it. Both of you took significant personal and professional risks. Steve, you had committed most of your professional career to public service. And Jerry, you were in private practice and a successful civil litigator. You had represented Fortune 100 companies in civil litigation all across the country. And if I understand correctly, you had never tried a criminal case. You both had these thriving practices with a lot to lose to leave your practice and go to work for the Attorney General's team. And then do it pro bono, which is really an extraordinary, selfless act. And it does not seem like the type of decision you could make in a few seconds. So could you share with us your decision-making process when you were asked to make this extraordinary sacrifice and why you said yes?
Well, for me, it was the whole incident was altogether an existential moment. I called it a moral moment, even. And I had the week before I got the Attorney General's call, had just kind of thought, just inwardly, that anything I can do to help to bring about accountability for that, I want to do, because that is so wrong, so incredibly wrong, that if somebody can have the authority of this society and imbued with authority even to kill others as a law enforcement person, and they can abuse that authority that way, and there'll be no protection for the citizen. When and where will there be protection for any of us for anything? And the fact that he was African American gave an historical dimension too, in that respect. And I thought, I want to be a part of bringing about this accountability. Then out of the blue, the next week, I got the call from the Attorney General. So when you ask to be a special prosecutor, hey, it's special in a lot of ways. And one of the ways it's special is that you will especially not be paid to do it. It's made very special.
The people who watched this unfold, they were helpless to get involved, to do anything. If they would have tried to get involved and stop this, they could have been arrested and prosecuted themselves, and just or killed. That's right. To be able to do something, to actually do something, that's a blessing and a privilege.
The world looked at this case in many ways, through many different lenses, and clearly, no one could miss the obvious issue of a white police officer kneeling on the neck of an unarmed, handcuffed black man until after he was dead. And yet you presented the case in a very straightforward, thorough, thoughtful, race-neutral manner. Could you share with us how you approached your trial strategy when there was such a spotlight on the issues of race outside the courtroom?
We didn't want to make the case about anything other than Mr. Chauvin's conduct as the main thing. And the goal then was to keep the main thing, and to keep focused on it, that there was enough emotion, impact in the video footage in of and by itself that we didn't need to add to that as the lawyers. It spoke for itself. You can believe your eyes. That was the theme that you heard.
You made the reference to powerful evidence, and it was powerful indeed. In addition to the video evidence, you had equally powerful evidence from so many witnesses, including many law enforcement officers. Now, I promise I won't ask you who is the most important witness. All the witnesses are important. I get it. I personally found the chief of police to be compelling. So I'm curious, what was your perspective on the law enforcement reaction? Prior to trial, during the trial, and through sentencing? What kind of feedback, if any, did you receive from the law enforcement community about the work that you did here?
There was no testimony to me that was more poignant and meaningful probably to the jurors than what the police officers themselves had to say about what proper policing was, and beginning with Chief Arredondo. I thought that was extraordinary, and I hope is an example that other police chiefs and police officers will follow in other cases.
I think that if his example of showing that personal courage, of not being afraid to call out your friends, if anything can resonate and really have an impact on the street level law enforcement and keeping everybody safe, that example would.
The Pennsylvania Innocence Project represents innocent individuals who have been wrongfully convicted, and we do this work in the name of justice. Your work in this case was also in the name of justice, holding a police officer accountable for his actions on one day. Broadly speaking, what do you think about the impact of this case on our criminal justice system in America?
I think ultimately it gives all of us some degree of hope. I don't believe, for example, that the system works or the system doesn't work. The system is just us, right? And if people come together with the right commitments to having the system work, then in a given case you can bring about accountability. And I think here we did, and I think it was important to have that happen here. That for a great many people, where I started when I said if there isn't accountability here, then where will there be?
Yeah, people from all over the world have reached out to me and just given words of encouragement, have asked to speak with me, have shared their stories with me, have talked about their families, have told me that they want to become attorneys, or they want to go into social work or do any number of things because they were inspired by what they saw. They were inspired by the trial. And that inspires me and gives me so much hope, because imagine someone reaching out from halfway across the world, really because they care. Because they care about what happened to this man they've never met in a place they've never been to or probably ever will. The work that you all do in the Innocence Project inspires me. And you do it not because you're going to receive a reward, but because the work is rewarding, because you care about the system. As Jerry said, and I think that was absolutely spot on, I hope if anything comes out of this, it's that people will continue to care and will continue to take up what is their responsibility to assist and hold up the system of justice in a way that the people who we serve find it useful and meaningful and fair and just.
I have heard you two speak glowingly about your team and the team effort in this case. So could you share with us a little bit about how this team worked together to successfully prosecute this case?
Well, a lot of credit for that goes to the Attorney General, who dared to be different. I mean, bringing me into this was very different as a career civil practitioner. I mean, who does that, right? And it worked. So I feel we'd be remiss in an interview like this, a discussion like this, if we didn't mention the team and if we didn't specifically call out the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, for the leadership that he exercised in this.
Jerry and Steve, it's been a privilege and an honor to spend time with you. Thank you for your support of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project. I can tell you, you have inspired attorneys throughout the country to fulfill their pro bono obligations and to serve others. In fact, you two have taken it to a different level and set a shining example for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Jerry Blackwell and Steve Slisher, it is my great honor and privilege on behalf of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project and our board of directors to present to each of you our Distinguished Service Award for answering the call to justice. You both performed brilliantly with grace, humility, and integrity as you led the prosecution team in the case against Derek Chauvin. So on behalf of your community and your state, our profession, and a grateful nation, thank you. It is my privilege to present you with our Distinguished Service Award.
Thank you so much. I'll accept this award on behalf of myself and Jerry and our wonderful, talented team of dedicated attorneys who spent countless hours in the trenches preparing and getting ready for the trial that would eventually yield, I think, a just result in this case and for the world. And we greatly appreciate being recognized for our work. And we also just want to extend our appreciation to you all, to the Innocence Project and its members, for the continued work you do on behalf of the administration of fair justice.
It is difficult to put into words the importance of Jerry and Steve's decision to volunteer their time and talents to the prosecution team in the George Floyd murder trial. I'm sure you agree they deserve this year's Distinguished Service Award. The Pennsylvania Innocence Project relies on the generosity of lawyers like Jerry and Steve, who volunteer their services working long hours and often many years to exonerate people in Pennsylvania prisons who are wrongly convicted. Each year, the project receives more than 500 letters from people in Pennsylvania prisons, asserting their innocence and seeking the project's help. Every letter receives a rigorous review to determine whether there is a valid claim of innocence. If so, staff work alongside volunteer attorneys like our next honoree, Nate Anasandri, to review the case and help represent our client in court. Nate's heartfelt commitment to pro bono services is equaled only by his compassion and tireless advocacy for people who have been wrongfully convicted. The project's legal director, Neelam Songvi, will present the 2021 Edward D. Olbaum Volunteer Award to Nate for his generous work on behalf of the clients of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project.
The Pennsylvania Innocence Project dedicates our award recognizing work by our pro bono partners to Eddie Olbaum, a beloved Temple Law professor and advocate who is an early supporter of the project's work and a member of our board of directors. An expert on evidence, an advocate for the American justice system, a defender of children's rights and of the wrongly convicted, Eddie's zeal for justice and fairness never dimmed. Eddie believed that giving back to his community was part of being a lawyer. No one exemplifies the values Eddie held dear more than his former student and this year's Olbaum Award recipient, Nate Andrasani of Morgan Lewis. All of our cases are difficult, but Nate has taken on some of the toughest among them and always answers the call. He has never said no to taking on a case and has inspired so many other attorneys at his firm to join in our work. Through Nate's tireless efforts, Andrew Swainson is a free man after serving over 30 years for a murder he did not commit. Though Andrew's quest for justice once looked hopeless with opposition at every turn, Nate never gave up. Through Nate's tireless efforts, James Foster is a free man who had all charges against him dropped after Nate convinced the DA's office that James's newborn daughter tragically died due to an illness rather than abuse. James now has the chance to heal and rebuild his family. It is an honor and a privilege to work with Nate and to present him with this award tonight.
Good evening to everyone hearing my voice and the voice of my co-workers. My name is Andrew Swenson. I've served 32 years for a crime I did not commit. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend this momentous event to witness my brother, my friend, my best man, Nate Anarsani, on receiving this award. I'm taking this time out to congratulate him on this accomplishment. Nate, you deserve this award because you are truly an extraordinary human being who cares about justice and humanity. God bless you all, and good night.
Thank you, Andrew. I couldn't be more touched, and thank you all very much. I'm incredibly honored to receive this award, not just for what it represents, but also for whom it's named. Eddie Obam was my law school professor at Temple, my trial team coach, my mentor, and most importantly, my friend. I've been blessed with many great mentors, but few, if any, have had as big an impact on my professional life as did Eddie. He recognized potential in me that I did not recognize in myself, and he believed in my ability to become an effective and persuasive trial lawyer. More importantly, he reinforced the values that my parents had instilled in me, that success by doing well is meaningless without also doing good, the importance of giving back to our community, and our duty to fight against injustice. Eddie not only preached these values, he lived them. Eddie was disappointed when I chose to start my career as a prosecutor and not a public defender. But he still fought for me to get a job as a prosecutor in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office. He warned me of the awesome power that prosecutors possess and the need to ensure that my moral compass always pointed due north when pursuing justice as a prosecutor. I tried my best in that regard, and I hope that my effort made him proud. I know, too, that he would have been proud of the success our teams, because it took teams and villages to have these success in getting the DA's office to withdraw the heinous murder charges against James Foster and to finally support the exoneration of Andrew Swainson. To Eddie's wife, Karen, and his son, Jake, if you can hear this, I hope you know that there are legions of lawyers like me and my trial team partner, Marissa Bluestein, who got me involved with the PA Innocence Project and the cases for Andrew Swainson and James Foster. Lawyers like us who owe our careers to people like Eddie and who are still trying to meet his expectations for us and to validate his belief in us. There are so many other people I need to recognize and thank. Jamie McKeon, Fran Malone, and all of my partners at Morgan Lewis who have made pro bono service a pillar of our core values. Neelam Sangvi, Amelia Maxfield, Marissa Bluestein, and all the good folks at the Pennsylvania Innocence Project who entrusted me with these matters. Vicki Miller, Amanda Bruno, Jonathan Young, Jackie Gorby, Kevin Schock, Jane Cochran, Donna Gappa, Tim Gavard, Lynn Foley Jefferson, Michaela Parrish, Craig Coley, and Russell Collins. See, it did take a village for all their hard work on behalf of Andrew Swainson. Caitlin McKenna, Caitlin Barrett, and Jane Cochran for all their hard work on behalf of James Foster. To Mr. James Foster and Mr. Andrew Swainson for their faith in me. I'd like to thank Andrew Welbrock and Patricia Cummings of the Philadelphia DA's Conviction Integrity Unit for their courage and their conviction in pursuing justice for all. And to Andrew Swainson, who you just saw on video, a special note of thanks. Your courage, your faith, your compassion, and your positive attitude have been a powerful example to me of extraordinary humanity and a reminder of the power of God's amazing grace. I thank you for your friendship and love. You have taught me so much and have been a blessing to me and my family. Finally, huge thanks to so many of my family and friends who had to listen to me complain about in anguish over the extreme injustices facing both Andrew Swainson and James Foster. You all helped me persevere through some dark days in both cases. Many thanks to my mother and father for the education they provided to me, both the education at home and in school. Many thanks to my brother and sister for being great examples to me of what it means to be a person dedicated to the service of others. Most especially, many thanks to my wife Allison and my beautiful angels, Alexa, Olivia, and Sophia, for their undying and often unsupportable belief in me, and for their understanding that my obsession with these cases and our quest for justice for Andrew and James took time away from them. No man has a greater support system than do I. Finally, here in Philadelphia, to paraphrase the words of one of my heroes, and of course to embarrass my children, I'd just like to say one thing to my wife who's home. Yo, Allie, I did it!
Thank you, Neelam and Nate. Now, please remember that if you'd like to donate tonight to support the important work of Neelam and Nate on behalf of people who are wrongly convicted, you can give at any time during the program by clicking the donate button on your screen or by visiting www.painnocence.org/donate. In 2018, the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office strengthened its Conviction Integrity Unit under the stellar leadership of our next awardee, Patricia Cummings. The Philadelphia Conviction Integrity Unit, or CIU, vacates prior convictions in the DA's office where there is evidence of actual innocence. They also create opportunities to prevent future wrongful convictions in the DA's office by learning from past errors. Board member and exoneree Chester Holman will present the 2021 Maureen Rowley Award to Patricia Cummings in recognition of her leadership and devotion to serving justice as the head of the Philadelphia CIU.
In 1996, a man named Anthony Mellon was shot and killed on the premises of where he worked at 5 Star parking lot. There was no eyewitnesses, no fingerprints, no DNA, no murder weapon, no nothing. They convicted me of murder and sentenced me to life.
I was arrested for murder in the 2nd degree for a crime I didn't commit and wasn't there at the time. You know, so, and it hurt. 27 and a half years. You know, it's like I said, it's so easy to convict you, but it's hard to prove your innocence. It's like so much work has to be done just to prove your innocence. Not a whole lot of work going to convicting you, seriously.
In 2018, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner appointed Patricia Cummings to lead the Conviction Integrity Unit to uncover and remedy wrongful convictions in Philadelphia. In the last 3 years, Patricia Cummings and the CIU staff have exonerated innocent people in 23 cases. Cases where prosecutors withheld evidence they were ethically and constitutionally required to disclose. Cases where police committed egregious misconduct. Cases where wrongfully convicted men spent more than 400 years in prison for crimes they did not commit.
27 years, 4 months, actually. I missed enjoying life most of all. I missed enjoying life. I had a lot of family members who passed away that I was really close to, and that was my grandmothers. I was very close to my grandmothers.
I was 22 years old. You know what I mean? I'm talking about the rest of my life. You don't know what, I could have been anything. I could have been Obama, I could have been, who knows who I could have been. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was wrong.
Patricia has been undaunted in her commitment to righting past wrongs with integrity, tenacity, and transparency. Perhaps most importantly, she has been undaunted in working to address the root causes of wrongful convictions to make a more equitable, transparent, and just criminal justice system. The people of Philadelphia, including the board, staff, and clients of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, have benefited from her leadership.
I want to say, God bless you and you and your family. I want to thank you for being a wonderful person that you are, for being a concerned, you're a caring person. And we never met. You don't even know me. You just read my story and you believed in me. That means a lot to me because you changed my life. You was one of the ones that changed my life. I just want to say thank you and God bless you.
Patricia, I would like to say that you are an amazing woman. I would like to thank you for everything that you've done for me, my family, and the friends that supported me throughout this whole ordeal. You know, it's too many words to express how I really feel about you, but you looking at me, you know how I feel about you. You are a special woman, and I thank you so much for everything you've done and everything you are doing today, and I hope you continue on through that journey of doing that kind of work.
Presenting the Marine Rowley Award to Patricia Cummings. Marine Rowley served as the Chief Defender for the Federal Defender Office for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. She fought tirelessly for the voiceless. Her career demonstrated an unyielding and successful commitment to ensuring the highest quality of representation to those who are often ignored by the legal profession. This award is being presented to someone who exemplifies those same principles through her work as head of the Conviction Integrity Unit of the District Attorney's Office here in Philadelphia. Patricia Cummings took over the CIU in 2018, bringing an instant change to the office and a very different culture of integrity, truth, and transparency. Patricia hit the ground running to do what she was brought here to do from Texas. She and her unit have since secured more than 20 exonerations of Philadelphians who were wrongly convicted. I myself have seen the working of Patricia and her unit, having been the 9th person to be exonerated under her leadership of this unit. After spending 28 years incarcerated for a crime I didn't commit, I had truly begun to lose hope. After having reached my 26th year, I first learned of Patricia Cummings and this unit. She came to interview me in prison and told me they were going to be reviewing my case. She told me that I needed to do a lot of investigative work prior to anything happening, but in the end, if it was proven that I was innocent, she would do everything to secure my release. And she was true to her word. I was released on July 15th, 2019, and fully exonerated on July 30th, 2019. Patricia Cummings is a remarkable attorney and litigator, but more so, even more remarkable human being. She believes in truth, justice, and equality for all, and never wavers in this belief. She has honestly helped me to restore my faith and belief in the system, knowing that people like Patricia Cummings exist within it. I am honored to present the Marine Rowley Award to Patricia Cummings, head of the Philadelphia Conviction Integrity Unit. Congratulations, Patricia.
I wasn't prepared for all of that, and I can't even begin to tell you what I'm feeling in my heart right now. But thank you. I am honored to be a part of your annual celebration, and also honored to be recognized as your ally in the fight to free the innocent. Like many of you, this fight is a fight I have been fighting for years. However, I must admit, if you asked me 4 years ago if I would be doing it with you here in Philadelphia, I probably would have said, no way. Too cold. Besides, I can do more good at home in Texas. Yes, Texas. Texas, the state that leads the country in executions. And Texas, believe it or not, the state that recognizes due process is violated when an innocent person is convicted. And Texas, the state that leads the country in legislation aimed towards preventing wrongful convictions and restoring what can be restored, at least financially, to those who have been exonerated, often after spending decades in prison for crimes they did not commit. In the summer of 2017, not long after Larry Krasner won the primary here in Philadelphia, I was invited to meet with Larry in Texas when he was touring the country to learn more about reforming our broken criminal legal system. I'm not sure if it was serendipity or something else. Then just a few months later in December, I found myself flying to Philadelphia to meet with him to discuss leading his office's efforts to revamp the prior district attorney's conviction review unit. And by the end of January, I'd packed my bags and moved to Philadelphia just in time to see the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Needless to say, I was not prepared for that, nor was I prepared for what I saw when I quickly got a taste of just how broken the criminal legal system is here in Philadelphia. One thing I knew for certain was that I needed a team of qualified people willing to fight the fight. And fortunately, Larry gave me that team. As the new Conviction Integrity Unit team was formed, I often found myself trying to describe the challenging work we committed ourselves to doing and why we are so committed to doing it. As I was preparing a talk to other CIUs across the country about the challenges of our work, I was watching the news reports of the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing. And part of that coverage included JFK's speech titled, "We Choose to Go to the Moon." I'd forgotten how much I loved that speech, so I read it again and again. Only then it resonated differently to me. Then it seemed to provide the perfect answer to why we do conviction integrity work. For those who don't know, at that time in 2019, the skepticism about prosecutors calling out our own and standing up for the convicted was growing instead of waning. As I thought about my remarks for tonight, I decided to read that speech one more time. Believe it or not, it resonated differently to me yet again. Tonight, I want to share with you parts of that speech as the answer to why all of us, not just conviction integrity units, do this work. As you listen, I want you to think about how some of the skepticism has carried over to the collaborative nature of our work. Really, describing it as skepticism is a bit of a whitewash. There's been outright hostility to the notion that we can collaborate to right the wrongs of our past in an adversarial system. First, a little background about the speech. According to Wikipedia, "We Choose to Go to the Moon," officially titled "The Address at Rice University on the Nation's Space Effort," is a September 12, 1962 speech by United States President John F. Kennedy to further inform the public about his plan to land a man on the moon before 1970. Kennedy gave the speech, largely written by presidential advisor and speechwriter Ted Sorensen, to a large crowd at Rice University Stadium in Houston, Texas. In his speech, Kennedy characterized space as a new frontier, invoking the pioneer spirit that dominated American folklore. He infused the speech with a sense of urgency and destiny and emphasized the freedom enjoyed by Americans to choose their destiny rather than have it chosen for them. Although he called for competition with the Soviet Union, Kennedy also proposed making the moon landing a joint project. The speech resonated widely and is still remembered, although at the time there was disquiet about the cost and value of the moon landing effort. Now to share with you just a few lines from the actual speech. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. John F. Kennedy. The last 4 years has felt like a successful journey to the moon. Thank you all for allowing me and my team to be part of that journey. Although my personal journey is taking me back home to Texas, I know there will be many more. May the journeys never stop until all of the innocent have been freed and the trials we conduct be fair and result in convictions of only those who are actually guilty.
Thank you, Chester, and congratulations, Patricia. We are grateful that 6 of the exonerees who have been freed since Patricia took the lead of the Philadelphia CIU are clients of the project. These 6 are among the 20 clients the project has represented, 20 innocent individuals who have been exonerated. Most were arrested while young and robbed of the opportunity to start careers, attend college or learn a trade, start a family, and enjoy the prime years of their lives. They have spent an average of 22 and a half years in prison for a crime of which they are innocent. Our final awardee, Howard Shear, is deeply committed to the work of the project, having been involved since its origin in 2009. He served on the project's board of directors, including 3 years as board chair, and serves as co-counsel in an ongoing case fighting for the exoneration of a project client. This year, the project is awarding its highest honor, Hero of Justice, to Howard for his vision, leadership, and commitment to exonerating innocent people in Pennsylvania prisons.
We present our highest honor, our Hero of Justice Award, to those who have shown sustained commitment to achieving justice for all. Because the work we do involves instances where the criminal justice system has catastrophically failed, we recognize those who strive to improve the system to meet our ultimate goal, that no innocent person be arrested or convicted of a crime they did not commit. The last time we awarded the Hero of Justice Award was in 2019, when we conferred the honor upon our exonerees, the men and women who put their trust in the Pennsylvania Innocence Project and linked arms with us through the years to secure their freedom. It's fitting that this year we present the Hero of Justice Award to someone who served on and ultimately led our board while many of those exonerations were secured, and whose dedication to the Pennsylvania Innocence Project was instrumental in securing them. Tonight, we present the Hero of Justice Award to Howard Scheer. Howard joined our board shortly after the project's founding. He served as the president of the board from 2017 through 2019. During Howard's time leading the project, we secured 9 exonerations and the release from prison of multiple additional clients of the project. In addition, while Howard was president, the project contributed to substantial legislative achievements that positively impact our ability to secure even more exonerations. Howard led our organization through a period of growth, including the expansion of our wonderful staff and the creation of our exoneree reentry program, Transitions to Innocence. Howard even led the effort to develop our logo, which appears on the award he will be given tonight and on all the merchandise you can buy online in our web store. At the same time that he was president of our board and maintained an active litigation practice, Howard led a team from his firm, Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney, in litigating since 2015 on behalf of our client, Rusty Brensiger. Howard's team has had recent, important successes in the long journey one must travel to overturn a conviction and achieve an exoneration, but they are not done yet. Those who know Howard Scheer know that he will not rest until Rusty's journey is complete. The tangible achievements Howard has brought to the project and to our clients are considerable. But Howard is this year's Hero of Justice not only for those achievements, but because of his spirit, his zeal, and his devotion to the cause. Anyone who has spoken with Howard since his first involvement with the project knows that this is his passion. Long before he was our board president, Howard made sure that every person he could engage heard about our work, our mission, and his commitment to it. In every conversation about the work of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, Howard mentions that he has trouble sleeping while knowing that there are people in prison who are actually innocent. Howard says that his North Star, the thing that drives his mission in life, is his belief that no one should spend a night in prison for a crime they did not commit. Howard, in every way, you embody and exemplify what we stand for at the Pennsylvania Innocence Project. You are a true leader, and every one of our clients, every member of our staff, and every member of our board has benefited from your leadership. You are our North Star, guiding us in our dedication to justice. You are a true hero of justice, and I am deeply honored to present you with this award tonight. Congratulations, and more importantly, thank you, my friend, for what you do.
Good evening, and first, thank you to the Pennsylvania Innocence Project for hosting tonight's great event and for all that you do for our community. Howard Scheer. I've been Howard's partner for 16 years. He's a dear friend and a colleague, an accomplished trial attorney, and a true humanitarian. But Howard's not just a great lawyer, he's a great role model too. His commitment to improving our justice system is at the core of who he is as a person and as a lawyer. Howard's a fearless advocate for his clients and for the truth, and it's this fearlessness that has propelled him from his early days as a freshly minute lawyer working at the Defenders Association in Philadelphia to the renowned trial lawyer that he is today. Howard has fought for people who have ended up on the wrong side of the law his entire career. And that fight is most evident in his long-standing and the deep commitment to the Pennsylvania Innocence Project's mission of exonerating those wrongly convicted. Buchanan's always been a strong supporter of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project, and much of that support is based on and driven by Howard's passion for this organization and the shining example that he sets for others, not just at Buchanan, but throughout the entire legal community. Howard, from everyone at Buchanan, we congratulate you on this award, and we continue to be inspired by you each and every day. You are a true hero of justice.
Thank you. I am truly honored. I thought this would be easy with a script written out and I could memorize it, but what Sam and Joe have said has genuinely moved me, and all I can say is thank you very much. I was asked to join the Pennsylvania Innocence Project more than 10 years ago with the understanding that I was expected to give. But I didn't want to just give money or give my time to serve on the board. I hoped to give my legal skills and experience to help people caught in the maw of the justice system after it had gone very wrong. My hopes have been more than realized. However, I did not expect or hope ever to receive this award. And again, I am honored. I am honored to be awarded the Pennsylvania Innocence Project Hero of Justice Award because the mission of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project is the very reason I wanted to become a lawyer as a teenager. Because lawyers have the ability and obligation to speak truth to power. The American criminal justice system, in its ideal form, is designed so that the people, the jury, and the court are there to protect the innocent from the mistakes and misdeeds of the accuser, the government. But when the government and the accuser and the court and the jury fail, not only is an innocent person convicted, but the system itself is dangerously diminished. The system of justice loses its legitimacy, its respect, and its power. The Pennsylvania Innocence Project's principal goals include preventing those breakdowns from happening and correcting the results of the breakdowns when they do occur. That is what we do. But we should never lose sight of the fact that the true heroes of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project are not just the lawyer volunteers and staff or the leadership of the Innocence Project. It's not just the founders of the project or those who have worked with the project over the years, all of whom fight vigorously every day to right those wrongs, all of whom I have enjoyed knowing and with whom I have enjoyed working and continue to work. No, there are three other true heroes of the Innocence Project. One, the exonerees, those people who persistently, with grit and drive, fight to correct the wrongs done to them by the system. Two, the families, mothers, children, spouses, and friends of the exonerees, who are the lifelines to those who have been wrongly convicted and are incarcerated. And three, the heroes are honest citizens, people who are willing to tell the truth even if it means to correct a falsity which was previously attributed to them. The long-term strategic goal of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project is to make the heroes of justice extinct. This award should become like a vestigial organ, having no function in our society. And that will occur when there are no laws in the system, no flaws in the system, which require repair. When only guilty people are convicted and innocent people are exonerated. But until then, the Pennsylvania Innocence Project will continue to do the work necessary to make the justice system more perfect. I invite everyone to work to be a hero of justice, and I am so grateful to have been given this prestigious honor. Thank you.
Congratulations, Howard. And thank you for your inspiring words and for all you do for the project. Good evening. My name is Nan Filer, excuse me, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project. So thank you again for joining us tonight. I hope you were inspired by meeting Jerry Blackwell and Stephen Slisher, and this year's other honorees, Nate Andrasani, Patricia Cummings, and Howard Scher. And special thanks to exonerees John Miller, Willie Veazey, Andrew Swainson, and Chester Holman for joining us in tonight's celebration of justice. The core of our mission, as you know, is to exonerate people who are incarcerated for a crime they did not commit. We represent individuals with claims of actual innocence that are supported by powerful exculpatory evidence. Along with our legal services, we also work to remedy the underlying causes of wrongful convictions, to ensure that no one will be wrongly convicted in the future. And finally, our reentry program provides critical support and services to exonerees in their return to their communities. We are currently completing a strategic plan to move us forward in the next 5 years, and we recognize the need for additional legal staff, investigators, and others to sustain and grow this important work. And that's where you come in. Please give to the Pennsylvania Innocence Project so that we can make sure that every incarcerated innocent person has a chance for freedom. As Ruffin has pointed out, you can give by clicking the donate button on your screen or by visiting our webpage, www.painnocence.org/donate. And if you have given tonight, or you're one of our very generous sponsors of tonight's event, let me offer the heartfelt gratitude of the staff and the board of directors. I'd like to end reflecting on where we began this evening, with a conversation with attorneys Jerry Blackwell and Stephen Slisher. They talked about first seeing the shocking video of a white police officer kneeling on the neck of an unarmed black man until he died. It is a moment in history not to be forgotten. Wrongful convictions reflect the inequities inherent in the criminal justice system, which unequally impacts people of color like George Floyd. Innocent black Americans are about 7 times more likely to be convicted of crimes in this country than innocent white people, and they spend longer times in prison before they're exonerated. In fact, 80% of our exonerees are people of color, with the majority African American. What Jerry and Steve saw, when they saw that video, they felt called to act. A calling reflected in the work of tonight's honorees and the work of the countless volunteers, the staff, and the board of directors of the Pennsylvania Innocence Project. And you are making this work possible. Thank you for being part of the community of people dedicated to justice.
Good evening. I'm delighted to participate in tonight's event. An orchestra is a metaphor for society where the contributions of each member are valued and each player is accorded dignity and recognition. The success of an orchestra depends on a shared vision and on mutual respect. The Pennsylvania Innocence Project recognizes the importance of these values. They work tirelessly to ensure the exoneration and freedom of people who are wrongly convicted, and they show how the imprisonment of an innocent person harms that individual beyond measure and our community as a whole. As a musician, as a citizen of this earth, and as a resident of this wonderful city and state, I'm proud to recognize the Pennsylvania Innocence Project's vital work in standing up for the wrongfully convicted and strengthening our society by seeking criminal justice reform.
What a powerful evening this has been. Thank you for joining us and hearing from Jerry Blackwell and Stephen Slisher about their critical involvement in the prosecution of Derek Chauvin and in celebrating our awardees, Nate, Patricia, and Howard. I think you'll agree tonight's guests and honorees are among the finest champions of justice. And thank you to our many generous sponsors.
Be sure to stay on a few minutes after the program ends to see the slides listing our sponsors and the photos of the exonerees. If you haven't yet shown your support with a donation, please click that donate button on your screen or visit www.painnocence.org/donate to find more ways to give. Every gift, no matter the size, means the world to the project. From funding for DNA tests, which can cost as much as $10,000 for a single round of testing, to hiring forensic science experts to testify, to the travel our attorneys take to visit their clients in prison. Every dollar you donate to the project helps us get one step closer to exonerating an innocent person. Help be a part of the movement to exonerate those who have been convicted of a crime they didn't commit, to prevent future wrongful convictions, and to assist exonerated individuals upon their re-entry to society. The project thanks you, and I thank you. We couldn't do this without you. I hope you all have a good night.